Just a couple of guys dropping nuggets of wisdom as we talk about life, the universe, and, well, everything. Welcome to WizNugs.
All right, so welcome to WizNugs. I'm Cisco.
And I'm Casey.
And we want to talk about today is a something that you may have heard sometime in your life. It's a phrase or a motto. It's the happy wife, happy life. Now, I think that it's a well-intended saying, right? Meaning that, if you take care of your wife and everything's going to be good, she'll take care of you. However, in my personal experience, I found that did not work out that way. And it ended up being a very one-sided proposition. So I'll give the example. When I first met my wife, and we were in the engagement process, the dating process, we had to go to this engagement encounter in order to be married in the Catholic Church. She's Catholic, I'm not. And part of this thing was talking to each other to talk about our expectations of what we thought the marriage was going to be like. And she already knew that I was a comic book collector at the time, and then I also played video games at the time, right? Mm-hmm. She's a couple years older. I won't say how much because I got to live with her. But she was of the mindset of, you can't collect comic books anymore and you can't play video games anymore. So she said that those things are for kids, and that she didn't want me to be able to do those things anymore because now I'm getting married, I have to be a grown-up and I have to do grown-up things.
Right, you gotta be a man. You gotta put those things away.
Right, and so I was like, well, these are my hobbies. This is what I do, right? I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't go out in clubs, I don't golf. I don't, play sports of any kind or that nature.
Right.
I don't hang out with the guys or the fellas. I don't do any of that stuff, right? Like, this is what I do. So you're asking me to give up kind of part of who I am for some weird expectation that you really haven't explained, except you're saying you can't do it anymore.
It appears childish, and therefore, no man of mine is going to be doing childish things.
Yeah, and I don't know if that comes from her upbringing, her expectations of what she thought an adult relationship would be like. And she's, obviously she's had boyfriends before, and I had girlfriends before, and she'd actually been engaged once or twice before, and it fell through for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But I was like, you know what? Okay, I'll give up the comic books because I want you to know that I'm serious about this relationship. And I've heard this phrase, happy wife, happy life. And I'll capitulate, and I'll give in, and I'll give you whatever you want to have. I did hold out on the video games because I said, I got to have at least one thing
right.
that I can say, this is my hobby, this is what I spend my time on, right? And I don't know if the expectation was, I need to spend all of my extra time outside of work with her at all times.
I don't know.
But yeah, and it was never truly explained. Going back to it now, we talk about it now, and she says, I realize that I was not the nicest person to you, and I apologize, and I feel bad about you giving up your comics and stuff of that nature, asking you to do these things, and you never asked me to give up anything, right? One of her fears was, because I'm not Catholic, her whole family thought that I was going to ask her to give up being Catholic. For me, I grew up Pentecostal. But I'm like, you know what? You do you.
Right.
I already know who you are.
I'm trying to get married to you.
Yeah,
on
I
purpose.
love the individual that you are. I don't want to change anything about you. So I came to find out that the happy wife, happy life thing did not work well for me.
Well, I've got a similar-ish story of that exact phrase being used against me.
All right, so what happened?
So my wife and I, we were engaged, and we were out registering for, gift registry.
Okay, yeah.
So we're going around and we're looking at things on shelves going, oh, I like that. Oh, I don't like that. And the whole time, every time I said, I like that, she said, well, it doesn't matter what you like.
Really?
Not those exact words, but that was kind of the vibe, was like, these are kitchen things, so your opinion doesn't matter.
What did you say?
Well, I stuck to my guns and I was like, I cook more than you do. So I don't know what you're talking about. This doesn't make sense to me. Well, happy wife, happy life. And I'm like, that seems like a way of getting just whatever you want as the wife. And we're going to have to figure this out. We're going to have to talk through this stuff. And I'm like, no, I really like, at the time, I had taken some design classes at school to do interior design kind of stuff because I was interested in that kind of thing.
Sure.
It was during the age of HGTV and
all right, so you had all this stuff up there, and you're like, wow, you know what? That looks interesting. I think I'd like to give that a shot.
Right. So I'm taking some of these classes. I'm into it. Did a project about Michael Graves as an architect, and then I started seeing his products, his name on products popping up at like Target and stuff, and I go, okay, well, these are cool. Like, I like the design of this industrial design of these products.
Right.
So I'm like, I really like these, utensils.
Did she say why she even brought that up? Was that in her mind?
She disagreed with me about the thing.
Okay.
Her household growing up was her mom handled it and her dad just didn't care. And her brothers, same way. Her brothers just didn't care. They're like, I'm not interested in things going on in the kitchen. I don't care what stuff looks like. It doesn't matter to me. So I'm taking a step back and you can just do what you want.
Right.
And that's fine for them. That's great. That works for them. I'm thinking of it like, well, I have an opinion. I care.
Yeah.
This means something to me. It's not everything, but it matters.
Right.
So, there was a time at the beginning there where it was like, I don't want that. Well, it doesn't matter. But it was like incredulity. How could you be telling me that you have an opinion on something that is the woman's domain? Why would you be talking about it at all? You shouldn't care. I should just be able to do what I want. And I go, but I do care. So what are we going to do about this?
So what ended up happening? I mean, at some point in time, did you guys have like the sit down and like, okay, look, this is how I feel about it, and I know this is how you feel about it, but we need to be able to come up with a compromise of some kind.
Yeah, in the moment, we ended up registering and putting different stuff on. I did get my Michael Graves utensils.
Nice.
I like them still.
Well, it's a win, right?
I think they look cool. Anyway, we had that conversation over and over and over again about different things until it finally became like... I come from a perspective of you want to put all your cards out on the table, and then once they're all out there, then you can divvy them out and negotiate and arrange them.
Right.
You can figure out what you're going to do with it at that point. But if you don't say what you want, and then the moment passes you by, you can't go back and in that moment, like, I can't go back and register for cool utensils again for my wedding.
Right.
It's been almost 20 years. Can't go back and change that.
Right.
And, I'm glad that in that moment that I did say what I wanted and stand up for myself and for my opinions. I think part of that was just learning in the beginning of the relationship who we were and how we wanted to interact with each other, and her learning that I did care about some of this stuff that her brothers just didn't. Cut to today, you recently renovated our kitchen, and we had a lot of decisions to make. Anyone who's renovated their kitchen knows there's a lot of choices.
And did you have the same problem where you're like, I want to have this particular item, or I want to have this particular color? And you're like, no.
We figured it out. How to negotiate. And by this point, we know that that we each have opinions.
Right. But that took time, right? It wasn't something that happened overnight. It was something that you had to work on. So I like the idea of another phrase, and someone else may have said it. I think, I don't know if I've heard it before, but it came to mind, and that was, instead of happy wife, happy life, it's happy spouse, happy house. And the idea behind that is communication, compromise, and negotiation, right? There's multiple ways to get to an end goal. That doesn't always mean that you're always going to get what you want, but you can come to some hopefully happy medium, and where you can say, well, I gave up a little bit, you gave up a little bit, but now we're both satisfied with the end result, right? And so with my wife, it was having to talk to her and say, there's things that I have interest in, and these are the things that are part of me because this is what I enjoy doing. And I would understand if I was telling you, well, me and the guys always go out to the club, or, me and my buddies always have gambling night. Sometimes I come home with extra money. Sometimes I don't know how I'm going to pay rent next month. Those are detrimental to a relationship, right? Those kind of things, yeah, maybe those are the things you need to reevaluate at that point in time. But if it's something like a hobby and it's not interfering with your livelihood or the family itself, there's no reason why you still can't enjoy and do those things. What my offer is like, you don't have to participate in this if you don't want to. I would like it if you did. But if you don't want to, I get it. Because my cup of tea may not be your cup of tea. But that's okay. And if there's things that you want me to participate in, I'll give it a shot. Her thing was she wanted to go to museums all the time. And I went once. I tried. It's just not for me, right? My idea of art, I realize I'm going on a tangent here. My idea of art is something that has so much detail and took so much time and so much effort, attention, right? That you get this picture and you can feel like you're in it, like you're looking at a scene in front of you. Abstract art, stuff that's where it's like random colors and stuff like that. I'm not into that at all. She thinks it's pretty and beautiful, and I'm like, ugh, right? So I
have to put in a plug here.
Go for it.
Mark Rothko, Rothko.
Okay.
I love some of his abstract pieces. He's one of my favorites. I want to learn how to paint like that.
Well, she loves Diego.
Amazing.
She loves Diego Rivera, and I don't have anything wrong with his artwork. I think his artwork is just fine. It's not necessarily what I like because his is more of like rural scenes and
Okay.
Hispanic culture kind of, and it's nice, but it's not. It doesn't move me.
Yeah.
Right. Anyway.
Well, that's with Rothko. He's just got these gigantic pieces, just huge scale, and it'll be like this big rectangle and just blocks of color. But it's not all like he just, like on MS Paint, you just click and fill. Yeah. It's layers and it's brush strokes, and so you can get like there's a vibe to it, even though it's just these big rectangles of color.
And I'm glad that you're
messy edges.
Yeah.
And it speaks to me. So
I'm glad that you're into that. To me, I'm like, yeah, okay. I'm done already. But the point was, it's like, look, you want to keep going to the museums and do this? Go for it. You want to take the kids? Go for it. Right? If you want to do like an outdoor hike and stuff like that, I'm in. Right? You want to go out to the mountains and go on a camping trip? I'm in. Something of that nature. But if you have a particular interest that you feel like you need to be able to continue doing because this is what you did beforehand, I'm not going to stop you. As long as it's not harmful to the relationship or it doesn't take precedence, or excuse me, I didn't say that correctly.
Precedence
over the relationship itself or the family, right? As long as there isn't some kind of sacrifice happening on the family side.
Sure.
Whether it's time, finances, whatever, then you should be allowed to continue to do that. And so when we came to this point of compromise, we were able to, okay, all right, I'm going to spend what needs to be done first. These items in the house, I have to work, you have to work, kids need to go to school or this event, whatever it is. And then we have this free time. What do we want to do with our free time? Is there something that we would like to do together?
Spend some time dating, continue courting your spouse.
Right.
And then
if you're like, you know what, I have an event I have to go to, I'm going to be gone all night, perfect time.
Right.
Right? But then there's, again, even then, you could say, you know what, I have something that I want to particularly do, right? Even as childish as it may seem, a new video game's coming out, and I want to go buy it, and I'm going to spend the weekend on it. And that,
right.
What does that mean? Okay, that means that whatever needs to get done beforehand, I'm going to do it beforehand. Whether it's housework, whether it's repair stuff, whatever things that need to be done, it needs attention. So do that first, and then I get to go spend the time on the thing that I want to spend the time on.
It's like I tell my kids, you have to do your have-tos before you can do your wannas. And as long as you get your priorities straight, then there's plenty of time to fill in with things that you want to do.
So now that we came to this understanding, things are so much easier, right? It's not like we don't have issues.
Yeah.
And it's not like there aren't points of contention. There are. It happens. It's a relationship. You're dealing with another individual, and that's the point. You're dealing with another individual. who has their own interests and aspirations and likes and dislikes, and you have to learn how to deal with that. And sometimes it doesn't jive with us, right? If I feel like I need to have her around me for any particular reason for a particular time, but she's already made plans and we've already talked about this, I have to accept, like, okay, she's going to go do something that she's really into and I want to support that. That does mean I have to sacrifice what I would like to have happen, and that's for her to be with me, right? Whether it's a movie or a dinner or whatever. But that's okay, because I know that this shows that I do care, and she knows that I care, because I want her to be happy and still have some individuality within the relationship that we share.
Absolutely. I think that's something that the term gets bandied about a lot, self-care.
Yeah.
And often self-care is sort of like an ad for the spa. That's how it feels like to me, that you see these commercials or whatever pop up for, come on, get a massage. That's self-care. Take a bubble bath with our new bath bomb product, and that's self-care. Self-care is whatever fills your bucket. Whatever is going to charge your batteries and help you to feel like you're a whole person. And if that means spending some time playing video games or reading comic books, or if that means... for me, I love reading.
Yeah?
Reading, playing music on my guitar. Like, that stuff, it makes me feel good. Singing along with the radio. Like, these are things that help me. And sometimes, when I'm stressed, I fall out of that. And I'm not doing it as much, and I feel worse. And I notice, I'm feeling worse. I gotta figure this out. And so, that might be a time to say, hey, you guys ready to play another Dungeons & Dragons game? Because I need some social time.
Highly recommend Dungeons & Dragons. Side note. But, you're right. I'm pretty good about recognizing when I'm not feeling right emotionally or even mentally. And then I'm pretty good about, okay, what do I need to do to address this, right? And then I'm also pretty good about letting my wife know that, hey, I need to do a particular thing so I can kind of get out of this funk. And I'll even tell you, it's like, I'm in a bad mood right now and it's not your fault. I know that I haven't been paying enough attention to what I need to do in order for myself to feel better. So I'm going to do this thing, whatever it may be.
Yep. And
I know I'm going to feel better about it after it. And if you need to go do something for you to feel better, go for it. Do it too, right? I'm constantly encouraging her to get a couple of friends at work or do something with a cousin or a relative to go out and do the things that she enjoys doing. Because it does recharge you. Like you said, it fills your bucket, right? You feel rejuvenated. Like, I'm actually living life. I'm not existing in here.
Well, and sometimes, humans are social creatures. We need some social time with other people. That everybody, even if you're an introvert, you need social time with people. That might look different depending on who you are and how your batteries are charged, how you're wired. On the other hand, knowing yourself and knowing what's going to help you, if that means doing projects or learning a new thing or like I said, singing along to the radio. Sometimes it's little things that can have a big impact, but you don't notice how bad the recharge is until it's low. And at that point, it can be hard to dig into that and get that higher thing. Another tangent. I believe strongly in self-care, and I think it's important to know who you are, what's going to help you to get better, to feel whole, to feel complete. So figure that out, find it, do something about that if you haven't already. Making a list of the stuff that you enjoy, and then I feel like a lot of what we're getting at here is that we need communication. Some self-knowledge is helpful.
Yeah.
We need negotiation, and we need to support one another.
Yep. And on that support, real quick, if your partner, spouse wants to do something that you find absolutely ridiculous, don't say that. Right? Doesn't matter what you think of it or feel of it. If they enjoy it, let them do it. Let them participate in it. If they derive happiness out of it, no matter how ridiculous it may seem, whether it's Dungeons and Dragons, or reading a comic book, or playing video games, or going to the museum, right? Whatever it is, don't demean it, right? Support them in it. That's a key thing. And then at least they feel that you recognize them for who they are, right?
You can get derision and combativeness anywhere in the world.
Right.
You don't need it from the person that you're sharing your life with.
Yeah, I agree. So again, I never realized that you were trying to do a summation here, but it's all the things that you said. It's the communication, it's negotiation, it's the listening, it's compromise, right?
Yeah.
Very important. And if both people in the relationship are working towards happiness for each other and for themselves, you're setting yourself up for a win-win situation. Versus where I feel the previous motto of happy wife, happy life ends up being, no matter how well intended, one person happy and the other person having resentment and sometimes even hatred because of the things they had to give up in order to make the other person happy. So I think that's a good place to stop for the night. I'm Cisco.
And I'm Casey.
And thanks for joining us today on WizNugs. Hope to see you next time.
Thanks for joining us today on WizNugs. If you liked what you heard, spread the word. For more information, head over to mywiznugs.com.